Hello and welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 804. It is the first episode of 2025. It's New Year's Day. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I can guarantee you this is the best episode we're going to do this year so far. I'm Brett Van Sprumberg.
And I'm Kent Burgess.
You can support PC Perspective by becoming one of our patrons. Make that New Year's resolution today. Subscribe to our Patreon by going to patreon.com/PCPer, and you can be like, I'm not drinking alone, I'm drinking with yous guys, which is apparently the name of the person. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, be like them. Thank you.
Very much.
Whoever you are.
Whoever you are.
Use guys.
Josh,
Yes.
did you eat something?
No, there was
It's not in
nobody
here.
there.
I just said, I
today.
wrote probably a burger or something, and then there's nothing there.
No, there is nothing. There was no burger of the day. I guess I started 2025 off on the wrong foot, but I was home. I did do some air fried buffalo wings. They came out fine. Maybe I should have taken a picture. I don't know. But I mean, it's just frozen buffalo wings that I air fried. How exciting is that?
Well, it's more exciting than nothing.
Nothing. Well,
Well,
sometimes you need absence to be able to appreciate presence.
All right, let's get down to business. It's the PCPer news desk, and we don't have a ton of stuff because the industry kind of takes the week off during Christmas, and then they start traveling to CES, and that'll be next week. But we have to talk about what NVIDIA is going to be doing because we already know they're going to be at CES. They're going to be announcing something, the 50 series, of course. Now, if you go to videocards.com right now on your PC or phone, you'll probably read a story about the 5080, which is now reportedly launching on January 21st. So we have a release date based out of a Hong Kong media outlet with the announcement to be the 6th. So just wait. By the time we podcast again, we'll know exactly what's coming. But here are some rumored specs for this 5080, which will precede the 5090. Be the first one we get, probably. Is this close to a 4090? Would you say, looking at the memory bandwidth and SM count? This is GB203. So the big boy, GB202, will be a lot faster.
Yeah. It's, only going to be 16 gigs, not 24. It's going to be, 1.5, I believe, was the 1.5 terabytes or 1.2 terabytes per second bandwidth for a 4090. It was big. But yeah, no, it's still 4090 is still going to probably wipe the floor with the 5080.
mm-hmm.
Really? Even with the rumored pricing we're hearing about? Okay.
Well, as you can tell, can you buy a 4090 right now?
No.
For anything less than $3,000?
You can buy a pre-built, I think, with a 40.
Yeah, you can buy a pre-built system that has one in it.
Yes.
For $3,000.
Whatever. It's a 4090 in a very expensive box.
Yes.
Right. It's a very fancy box that protects the
Very fancy
graphics
box.
card with a disposable case and processor and motherboard and stuff.
It's disposable.
All right. Well, let's talk about the pricing. I remember saying something to the effect of the 4090 was underpriced. That they created such a Halo product, it felt like a Titan. It felt like one of those $2,500 video cards from a few years before. Make this unobtainable $2,500 graphics card, which is, of course, what it ended up selling for. And then have much more affordable cards down the chain. Why have it at allegedly $1,600? And then the product segmentation was different than it had been at some period in the past. Like when they had the Titan card at the top, you would cut to like half that price for the next card down, and then it was hundreds less for the next one and so on. Here we had $1,200 for the
RTX 4080,
and then
not even a
16.
super.
It just felt like the 4080 was too expensive, but then the 4090 wasn't expensive enough. Like if it was this generational product that nothing could touch for the next 3 years, Why is it only $400 more, $300 more? Like, I don't know.
See what you're saying here.
Anyway, they listened. So brace yourself.
Good
Thanks,
job.
Sebastian.
Brace yourself because according to the story here at Tom's Hardware, the RTX 5080 might end up being $1,350. The 5090 will be closer to $2,500, $2,600, which I expect $2,499. Like, why would it be less? You know?
Right. Why would it be any less?
I mean, that's value right there, boys.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm a
they're
little
sort of
confused
back.
by it because supposedly
They're kind of backing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
supposedly you're not supposed to be able to buy the 5090 in China. So I don't know how they're listing it on a Chinese retailer unless they've backed off of that. But I had not heard that they have.
Well, there's the 5090D that they're going to do to get around the export issues, from what I understand.
But they're giving the D to China.
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah, no, this is grim. It's grim for people and enthusiasts, and I can see it happening. I can see them hitting those price points. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, we've seen it with what they've done with the 4060, the 4060 Ti, and the 4060 Ti 16. I mean, that's a $500 card right there, and doesn't do well at that price. And yeah, those prices have all gone down a bit. We've seen some good stuff from AMD, but maybe AMD is right that hitting the mid range, the $500 to $600 market with their new RX 9070 or whatever they end up calling it is just going to be a stroke of genius, and that they'll get a lot of I mean, they're not going to obviously take up all the market share, but they're gonna eat up a bunch, or at least raise theirs. And we've got Intel at the $250 level that is making some waves, and NVIDIA is just sitting at the $800 and above, and they're gonna take you, and you're gonna like it apparently.
Yeah, the numbers I was quoting earlier, apparently those are like if you adjust them, because those included VAT. So when adjusted, it's $1,200 for the 5080, which is the same price as the launch of the 4080. So
The original, yeah.
But the 5090, I have no doubt will be more, because they're saying about 2,200 if you adjust, if those numbers are correct. So it would be $1,000 more for the. I feel like that is a Titan card at this point. Like, that's not even. But maybe that leaves some room for a cut down version of the 202 in the same price range as last year's 4090, and have a true TI and not just a slight speed bump. Or the 4080.
I'm just depressed that that's where the prices will start, and they're only going to go up from there.
Oh yeah, all the AMDs will be hundreds more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe they'll be even higher. Who knows?
They might be higher. What could drive them even higher? What
Tariffs.
might drive them even higher? Oh, there it is. There it is.
So wait, there's a link about that. They're rushing.
1B.
So there's rushing to stockpile GPUs before the tariff hike.
This isn't even tech news. This is a story out of Yahoo Finance, not
talking about AMD and NVIDIA graphics cards. Well, because AI drives the entire speculative tech market right now.
Fair enough. Okay, so this is obviously a story out of Yahoo Finance of all places, that even AMD clearly they're both trying to sneak in under the tariff wire here, mitigate the price effects and safeguard their stock.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff has been in production for weeks. Yeah, and charge it anyways. Yeah. So if you want one, you will have a narrow window to avoid a potential significant tariff bump after the release near the end of January.
The solution obviously is just to have the stuff made here. USA fabs, USA labor.
Sebastian,
and USA labor this time?
How would such a thing happen?
Well, you know how TSMC Arizona, it's not exactly up to the standard of TSMC over in Taiwan yet. So what do you do to fix that? What do you do when you're having trouble getting people to adopt the kind of work ethic that they are used to over in Taiwan, and to have people who are willing to put in the hours and not have as much family time? Let's see. 50% of their workforce is now from Taiwan. That's what they're doing. They're just bringing over their workforce from TSMC overseas and bringing it to Arizona.
To get the work output they need to bring in home workers, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, there's also one other thing to that, is that, I mean, how many fabs do we have in the U.S. that's not Intel? I mean, there's Global Foundries, there's TI. I think Fujitsu still has some stuff, but if you're building a major fab, you're not going to be taking trained workers from other fabs. You're going to have to bring in a bunch of new folks with something like this. It's not like, moving the people over from the building B at Intel to, the new building C. So you're going to have people who are, fully trained and able to train a lot of the new people. But I can understand demands in labor in the U.S. are a little bit not to TSMC's liking. More unions, more money,
Workers' rights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those fun things.
1 hour lunches. Poof.
Ah,
Ah.
I did see another story related to this a couple of days ago, but I can't remember where it was. It may have been Tech Power Up, but TSMC is reporting that wafers coming out of the Arizona plant, at least for the beginning, will cost about 30% more than wafers coming out of Taiwan.
Uh-oh.
So they'll basically be at break even with a tariff. Okay.
yeah.
No, it's a nice target.
Yeah. Okay.
They can go to Illinois and they can get that old VisionTech PCB line out of mothballs and start producing video cards in the U.S. again.
VisionTech.
Or take the old STB one out of Mexico and revamp that one.
Gonna need a little work.
Yeah, Juarez is. I hear it's fun to go work down there.
The call. You're the call. Juarez.
Yes.
By the way, we were talking about graphics card pricing a little bit ago about the 50 series. Well, what about AMD's upcoming RX 9000 series of Radeon cards, if that is indeed what they're called? Because originally we were hearing like 8800 series. Now it's going to be a 9070 XT or something. Here's an article over at OC3D.net, and there are some supposed leaked 3D Mark Time Spy benchmark scores that show some somewhat disappointing results, where the new 9070 XT would be slower by like 16 or 17% compared to an RX 7900 XT. So, I mean, depending on the pricing, that doesn't really matter. If it's faster than a 7800 XT and it's the same money, then that's a win.
Yeah, I mean, games do different things from when, Time Spy is kind of an old benchmark.
Right.
So,
And
there's some point to that. But
Time Spy, from personal experience, is a lot more system dependent, like CPU and memory dependent, than something like Speedway or Steel Nomad, which are much more GPU bound than Time Spy. So who knows if those are all running the same processor and all that stuff.
A little bit of a grain of salt at this point, of course.
Because that's an older 2560 by 1440 benchmark. It's not a 4K.
But you got to wonder.
If we're looking at hoping that the latest AMD cards are going to be somewhere, on the continuum of where NVIDIA's cards are going to be, I think people are going to be a little disappointed that they haven't really even potentially bested their previous gen top of the line.
Well, they were pretty public in their statements that they were not going to compete at the high end with the next generation. These are basically going to be mid-range graphics cards. There's probably going to be more of a focus on, I don't know if they'll still try to do like OEM integration with the Radeon Advantage program or any of that stuff, but it's
But
for
their high watermark here is the 4070 or 4070 Ti. Just to give a relative team green comparison. So
what was
Yeah,
I'm seeing. Go ahead, Josh.
I wonder, are they just going to keep with the 7900 XT and XTX? They fill a niche, and they look like they're going to be faster, and they got 20 gigs and 24 gigs of memory that the 9700 XT does not have. So I'm kind of curious how long those are going to be around, and I wonder if it's going to be around for a while. So it may be a reasonable time to just say, you know what, I want a high-end AMD card. I might as well just get that 7900 XT or XTX, because
yeah.
nothing's coming out in the future from AMD that is going to surpass that.
At least for raster, anyways. I mean, the
Yeah, ray tracing
ray
is
tracing
not
might
great,
be-
but they're doing more fun things with their FSAA and all that.
power draw might
all
be a
that.
little bit better.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
some of the new ones. Yeah.
One would hope. And speaking of power draw, by the way, these apparently now renamed RX 9000 series cards will be reportedly sticking to 8-pin power connectors. So the AMD faithful will be pleased. No 12-volt high power, sullying their Radeon card experience.
They could be potentially using a new variant of that 16-pin. No, they aren't necessitating that vendors use that, but they're saying you can if you want. I think one of their previous vendors may have used the 12-volt high power. I don't remember who it was. But anyway.
Yeah, there's still a lot of trust that connector needs to regain.
True.
It is better now, but
Yeah, it needs to be beefier. It's just so flimsy. If it was the same size as an 8-pin with the same robustness, I don't think it would be as much of an issue. That 8-pin, it has such a satisfying click when it's fully seated, you know? You feel like you really accomplished something.
yeah, jammed it into a 6-pin somehow.
With a razor blade, you just take off the extra two. You don't need those.
Yeah, I know. I think the 12-volt high power controversy will continue with this next generation,
Yes.
and we'll see melty melts, and I blame my wire turn and scorch marks. That'll probably happen. I mean, the power draws of the highest end NVIDIA card is rumored to be astronomically high, like 500 plus watts, right?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. They might be pushing things back to that level that supposed 4-slot, 600-watt version of the 4090 was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's the 5090.
Right.
And you'd better firmly seat that cable. Unless it takes two. Maybe it's going to be dual 12 high power.
I think
perfect.
one of the sidebar blurbs in one of the previous articles from earlier actually specifically mentioned a 16-pin high power or something like that. I think I read that.
Oh, okay.
That
okay.
sounds safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, same as the 12, just obviously just a few more pins.
With even smaller pins. Yes. Same footprint, just more and tinier wires.
I don't think that's probably what's going to happen.
Absolutely flawless.
They're keeping the same tiny wires as the previous generation, just
adding more of them.
More of
so they can
them.
balance the load across more tiny wires, which is actually, it's better. I mean, more tiny wire better.
We're not replacing the same tiny little wires we gave you previous generation. We're just going to give you more of them.
All right. Well, a warning to those of you who are sensitive to extremely low speed simulated flicker, as we move on to a story from Blurbusters, which is showing CRT simulation in a GPU shader.
Now, they did slow this one down.
Beam.
They slowed this down
yes,
as kind of like showing people this is what it looks like when you can follow it with your eyes. But the real point of this, and they have a software library that's doing this, it's already being incorporated, is a for real algorithm simulating CRT scanning and the pixel brightness redistribution algorithm, and it just gives it that sort of sense of that tube quality to a flat panel display that people seem to really want. And this is a way to do it. But I believe you have to have a 240 hertz or higher display in order to take advantage of this 60 hertz simulation. I know that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but it does.
It makes your LCD seem warmer, more analog.
Oh,
Yeah, it definitely adds an analog sense to your LCD or your flat panel display.
does it
obviously, but you
play
need
a slight hum
240
over the
hertz.
speakers?
However, Jeremy, it will actually require you to degauss your LCD every once in a while.
Oh
okay.
no!
I miss that sound. I miss almost everything about
I actually like
the old days.
I actually like the degaussing sound.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was great.
It felt like
Again, you felt like you did something.
Yes, exactly. It's like clicking in an 8-pin. It feels like you've accomplished something.
Yeah.
It's not this flimsy simulation like, oh, here's a plastic button to turn on my monitor, and then that's it, except for maybe like automatically resizing. We don't even do that anymore.
I know. The degaussing was accompanied by this huge high voltage humming, the display wavering. It's like, oh, it's really working.
You get the
hard.
rainbows. Yeah.
It's like a dishwasher. Something's going on in there.
By the way,
You know what I miss? I miss daguerreotype photography.
Well, you're going to need a 360 hertz monitor to do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of silver nitrate.
Yes.
we're on the eve of CES. Not actually, because it's a few days away, but the next time we podcast, CES will be almost over. It'll be right in the middle of things. And I'm sure we're going to be hearing way, way too much about so-called artificial intelligence or large language model stuff. They're going to try to milk this for another year, of course. And here's a story at the Register. It's talking about how these millions of GPU clusters and gigawatts of power to scale AI just defies logic. It's monstrous in more ways than one.
They're talking about unmothballing nuclear reactors, and it won't be enough. It won't be enough. Let that sink in. We're going to unmothball megawattage of power generation via nuclear reactors. And that just isn't really going to get us to the million GPU benchmark that we've set for ourselves. It says things like Meta or OpenAI or Google. We're going to need more electricity, more space, more power. And they're in it's basically, this is, I think as Jeremy, you put this story in originally, I grabbed this one. It's a war of who can build the biggest, fattest data center or the most, what are they calling it? Zetaflops now? Anyway, go Jeremy.
The AI is just now screaming more power, feed me more. And people are doing it because, reasons. There's money in there somewhere, we promise. Don't worry,
Yes.
One day we will see a profit out of the millions and millions of dollars that we've dumped into NVIDIA. So yeah, it's going to keep going
Millions?
because it's billions fair.
There's like one, I don't know which company it is, but there's at least one of these vendors is saying that they will take and deploy next year more of the AI, what are the A100s, I think, from NVIDIA, more than was deployed in the entire previous year, in like 2023 or something like that. They're going to deploy more of those themselves in
because
one
if you throw
place.
more at it, it's obviously going to become more profitable. Lose less. It'll lose less money.
I wonder if they're talking extensively to Germany because Germany shut down like the last of their reactors.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just sitting there and they're not decommissioned yet. I mean, how many companies are going after them? It's like, so what can we do to convince you to restart those up?
All these?
Yeah.
You
we
guys
don't need them. The
have
country's got enough power. No,
more-
just for me. Just my
You guys
little
have
box
more
over.
fissionable material in there, maybe?
Yeah.
Call me old-fashioned, but I feel like we had it pretty good when we had these search engines that were really accurate, like Google, a very good search engine back in the day. You could do a query. If you knew some of the special tricks, you could even refine it right as you typed it, and get the answers to your questions without having to sift through very many ads.
Yeah.
And now people are talking to like ChatGPT and getting semi-accurate answers that require some further study if you actually want to be sure that you got real information. And it requires a massive amount of compute power to get what is generally less accurate information. I just find it's ridiculous.
Yep.
It's because there's so much ignorance about what it even is. Most people have no idea what the letters GPT even stand for. They just have it on their phone and they talk to it and they think that it's great because it answers all my questions. Like, yeah, but what is it accurate? Did you double check? Are you verifying sources? Is it just hallucinating?
It's illegal to lie on the internet.
Oh, okay.
GT Wannabe 2 from the YouTube chat sums it up neatly, saying it's confidently wrong.
Oh, yes. Very confidently.
Yeah.
And slightly racist.
Usually.
Not all the time.
And if not, give it time.
They'll take that part down sooner or later.
All right. Well, hey, how about some actual science? How about some hardware
Science.
excitement? This is the kind of story you get, by the way, on a pre-CES show. We're going to get into something that's like from Scientific American. Devices being cooled with a solid-state chip. How is this? Is it active cooling controller chip, or is somehow this chip actually doing some kind of heat exchange? Please explain.
It's actually high frequencies vibration, membranes vibrating, moving air. If you go drop down to a couple of the other stories, this is actually going into production. These things are very, very small Z height, extremely efficient. They are active, meaning it takes power to actuate the mechanism that does the heat exchanging within, and very, very efficient, surprisingly. And they're really using it. As they scale this up and this becomes more efficient, this may be a way to unlock incredible performance in very, very small packages. They're already saying that the new Samsung Galaxy Book 4 has a 50% bump in performance and power usage, significantly better power usage, like 17 or 18%, by adopting this vibration-based mechanism from Furora? I'm really trying to pronounce that.
Is this going to create like a little buzzing sound, or people who are sensitive to high frequency noise will hear this?
It undulates.
No.
Will it bother your pets? I mean, nothing is free, Brett. You can't have cooling that uses vibration without something happening, right? Or is this just...
We'll summon the worm.
Oh,
but other than that, you'll be fine.
So in this, for NVIDIA's Jetson Orin Nano, it's a very small, component or device. They're doing 25 watt dissipation. So they've got these development kits out, this Ferrari systems with this AirJet mechanism, just trying to get some of the industry makers that are doing products to begin to adopt it, to sort of prove it in the marketplace that it actually is workable. And they're bringing it into systems that could really take advantage of the very, very small form factor that this brings for the amount of cooling that it can actually do. I think if you scroll down on this one, it actually talks a little bit about the process of what it does.
Yeah, let's put some dense text on the screen here. There we go.
Like, we should definitely do this.
Yes.
AirJet is an active cooling solution that uses a series of tiny membranes that vibrate at ultrasonic frequencies to move air.
There you go.
And that's what my toothbrush does.
Yes,
it also makes a really high-pitched
turn it on and
sound.
Okay.
Your dog's going to hate you.
Ultrasonic has various frequencies. So
I know.
Right. They're above. See, I've learned that the ultra in ultrasonic means it is beyond the range of human hearing, Brett.
It's supposed to.
Then how are you
Just
hearing
as
your toothbrush?
subsonic would be below the range of human hearing.
Anyway, interesting bit of pre-CES technology to discuss, and maybe a preview of something to come.
From pictures I've seen from places like Fanless Tech, the solution in the past to passive cooling has been to just take absolutely gigantic heat sinks and have them protruding from small enclosures. Like you have a thin and light
enclosure
with about 4 inches of heat sink fin above it, where they've cut out like a square. And that's just, that's one solution. Take your thin and light laptop, put giant heatsink fins on each side of it, and just let nature take its course.
I think once they scale this could be something.
Someone said
25
infrasonic,
watts.
you mean? Or did I miss the sarcasm? No, there's no
They don't
sarcasm.
like
It's just total
subsonics.
ignorance on my part. So whatever Brett was saying was probably accurate, and whatever I said was probably completely inaccurate.
It's all humor. It's fine.
Right. But hey, something to look forward to at CES that isn't AI.
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's time to pause for a word from a podcast sponsor.
It's another glorious day in corporate IT. Company-owned devices humming along, IT-approved apps for everyone, and all the people are only using managed employee identities. Well, the reality is a little different. The situation is that regular people like to get from point A to point B using the straightest possible paths. Do you think they always access your corporate data on their company-owned devices? What identities are they using? Are the apps they're operating even approved by IT? These straight paths, these shortcuts, are your people getting things done? They can tend towards unmanaged devices, shadow IT apps, and even non-employee identities. Many security problems take place on these shortcuts. 1Password Extended Access Management is the first security solution that brings all these unmanaged devices, apps, and identities under your control. Every app becomes visible. Devices are known and healthy. Most importantly, access credentials are strong and protected. 1Password Extended Access Management goes beyond what IAM and MDM do by bringing security to the way we work today. It's generally available to companies with Acta, MS Entra, and even in beta for Google Workspace customers. Get secure on every app and every sign-in on every device. Get extended access management from 1Password. Check it out now and learn about it at onepassword.com/PCPerspective. That's onepassword.com/PCPerspective.
It is time for our first insecurity corner of the year.
Welcome to Insecurity Corner, your weekly reason to drink.
Our first story, don't monkey around with Big Mama VPN. It can turn you into a proxy for hackers.
Uh-oh.
Wait, free
It's-
VPN apps aren't really free? There's a
Weird,
catch.
right? Yeah, and to make it even more bizarre, the reason people are using this free VPN, which works on Android, it's like an Android app, because they want to be able to screw with their Meta VR headset when they're playing Gorilla Tag to introduce lag, which makes it harder for you to be tagged. So this whole thing came about because there is this one really popular game that you can cheat using a VPN. So, of course, people are like, oh, well, what's a nice free VPN? Well, when you sign up for Big Mama VPN, you literally consent to allow them to sell access to your 4G and home Wi-Fi. So they charge other people to use your bandwidth. That's the non-free part about it. Your part is free, sort of. So they, of course, say, oh, well, this is just, for traffic balancing, and we're not going to be letting anyone else do this. But, of course, hackers are going, well, this is amazing. For really cheap, I can make all of my traffic come from wherever it is that I feel like. And it's some kid on an Android device who's literally clueless. So they don't even have to really put much effort into it. They just throw them a couple of bucks for the bandwidth, and now, congratulations, you are part of a botnet with absolutely no clue, because all you're doing is providing the traffic. It's not installed in your system. It's just using you, and people may well show up and have some words for you. So yeah, do not go with free VPNs, because if it's free, that means you're the product, and in this case, it's actually your bandwidth that's the product. It's a bad idea.
And probably just never go with any product that starts with the words Big Mama.
Also, sound advice.
All right, next up, we have a story from Bleeping Computer. Malware botnets exploit outdated D-Link routers in recent attacks. So we've had TP-Link, now
Yeah.
D-Link. Problematic.
Yeah.
Routers in general, just kind of...
Those with link in the name are sort of
Yeah.
suffering a lot lately. It seems like the U.S. government is on the verge of kicking out TP-Link, which, from my cursory understanding, has a significant market presence in the U.S. So if you happen to have a D-Link and it's numbered like a DIR 645 and 806, or their Go RT AC 750 or their DIR 845L, you may have a problem. You may be suffering from one of the two botnets. I guess it's Ficora and Capsaicin. Sorry, I think that's
Capsaicin?
a spice.
It's the hot
Yes,
pepper
thank
one,
you.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, capsaicin. Anyway, some exploits that allow them to essentially break into your router. You can see by the map for those listening to us on the radio. The podcast listeners will not be able to see this, but yes, there's plenty of them in the US and Canada, South America, some in Europe. They're in wide use, which is where the telemetry data is indicating that these things have been infected. But lucky you, you're only going to become, as we said in the previous story, you're only going to become part of a DDoS capable network doing UDP flooding, DNS amplification attacks. Just welcome to the botnet world, I guess. If you're still running one of these devices, you will be found and eventually rooted. But maybe they're not doing anything bad other than killing another multinational conglomerate. Maybe you want to be part of that. No, you don't. Get rid of these things. Get rid of these things. Turn them off. Turn them in. Take them out back. Bury them deeply.
Yes.
Get something else.
The lyrics to the Weird Al video just write themselves. Welcome to the botnet. It gets worse here every day. Yeah. TP-Link, D-Link, Linksys. Doesn't matter anyway. Some words like that.
Nice. That was off the cuff. You should write that down.
And now it's just part of podcast history. But yes, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what brand you buy. Every week, it just gets worse. Like it's always routers and switches. And it's just the infrastructure of our own personal internet lives.
Yes.
Gets
and don't
worse.
think being Cisco will save you, because it won't.
No, it won't. We've been over that already. Yeah. Just if these things get delivered with remote management turned on, and you have the possibility of turning that off, for God's sakes, start there. At least turn off the remote management, and that's probably part of the problem here. Is that's one of the areas they're hacking. UPnP as well. Yep.
No one uses it except them.
That, and they're going to force your device to discover their hack or their exploit. Mm-hmm. So you want out of that.
Finally, in the security corner, this story again from Bleeping Computer. Microsoft issues an urgent dev warning to update .NET installer link. Why is their own link going to malware now?
It seems that may be the case.
Oh, no.
It looks like there's a domain, azureedge.net, that's about to disappear from the internet world by the company that owns it, Edge.io or EDGIO, is about to go bankrupt and out of business. And they're the ones that sponsored and ran that domain. So once that sort of goes offline, squatters, and we've talked about this before, squatters can move in and sit on that domain and wait for those update requests from the libraries and packages that reach out there during build processes or runtime to fetch runtime objects or build source while .NET apps are being built. And the hackers, if they control that domain, can essentially sort of give you the expected return with their special additions put in there. And you incorporate that right into your build or right into your runtime. And that really sucks. And there's a lot of code out there that currently reaches out during their build process or runtime to this domain. So if you're a .NET builder out there, definitely take a look and see if you've got AzureEdge.net anywhere in your pipeline.
And this will be that .NET app that you designed like 14 years ago and have completely and utterly forgotten about, but yet is incredibly important and is now going to suck down really, really poisonous stuff you do not want. But of course, Microsoft is powerless to do anything about this. There is nothing they could do which might alleviate this problem.
I didn't understand that aspect of this. I'm like, why didn't you guys just continue to run the domain or register it or get it transferred to you and just make it return nothing or a warning or an error message
saying, company.
I don't understand. This just seems like
Microsoft doesn't have that kind of money. They
problem.
can't keep these domains around, Brad.
Seems like a solvable problem to me.
That's like $100 per year to keep a domain active.
Here comes this train. Maybe we should continue to stand on the tracks. What do you think?
You know, but what are the shareholders going to say? I mean, it's just an obvious waste of money that could be going to them. So yeah, just
right.
Let's implement a really expensive workaround.
Yeah, exactly. We now need to survey all your entire code base, looking for these references. That's going to take hundreds of man hours. Searching as, it was 14 years ago we built this .NET app that's being used occasionally.
Who built it?
I don't even have that
he
source.
retired 5 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, but every time it starts up, it references this and pulls this, checks this thing. It goes and see if it has the latest version. It does a touch on this domain. Yeah. This is a disaster waiting to happen.
And with that, we're going to seamlessly transition to Gaming Quick Hits with one of those rare stories that kind of straddles the line between Security Corner and Gaming Quick Hits. Because this comes from Bleeping Computer, but Microsoft says there's this feature called Auto HDR, which is a Microsoft feature for Windows that Microsoft says is causing issues for Windows. Okay, so you don't want to update to Windows 11 24H2 with Auto HDR enabled. In fact, you can't. They're blocking the update now. Now, Auto HDR allowing you, of course, it's a Windows feature that automatically increases the color range and brightness from SDR to HDR in games on systems with HDR-capable displays. So it's breaking some games, and you have to disable Auto HDR.
But instead of your enhanced color experience, you potentially get wrong colors, and then your game freezes. There's the Microsoft HDR at work. Oops. Yeah. So, like Sebastian said, they're blocking this currently, but it potentially is freezing your game. So, if you're seeing this right now, there is a Windows advisory out there for it.
How many times just since 24H2 launched have we had major issues that caused them to block updates on certain systems?
Every day.
There's actually another one out there that I didn't mention. It has to do with another audio driver that completely disappears, removes all Bluetooth, removes all output, audio stops responding. Similar problem. This 24H2 just seems like a real millstone. It's really dragging people down to the depths and drowning them.
Occasionally. What would you expect being a beta tester for Microsoft? Or a customer?
Yes. Customer, just a regular customer.
Yeah,
beta
customer.
Tester. Same. Thanks, Microsoft.
I've been lucky. I've had it for over a month now, and it's been fine. Oh well.
You have the blessed mix of hardware.
Apparently,
it's like Josh is probably that guy who had Windows ME and was just like, "What? I don't understand what the complaints are. It works perfectly for me. I've never had it freeze."
I never actually installed ME except on client computers. I didn't have it.
You didn't like your clients very much, did you?
No,
pretty much.
They came begging for you to reinstall Windows 98 SE.
There's a question out of the YouTube chat regarding Windows 11 adoption rate actually decreasing slightly, and I think we checked that chart.
We did, yeah. It has. At the end of the year, it decreased while Windows 10 adoption went up.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, but it's not a great trend. And that was right around the time that Microsoft, of course, said, well, we don't really condone it, but we will technically support you if you decide to go TPM free with your Windows 11 upgrade.
There's some controversy around that story, whether that was really true or not. But
really? Well, the Microsoft pages were there.
I know.
That wasn't fake. They I don't know. I just feel like, all right, maybe we were duped. We'll look into that. Future follow-up for the PCPer podcast. Next up, a story from Tech Power Up. Upcoming Lenovo Legion Go handhelds teased to launch on January 7, along with surprise Valve walk-on. Now, this is a very Steam Deck-like device. Ooh, removable controllers a la the Switch.
That's even more Steam Deck-like than you might think at first glance, because it's looking like SteamOS is going to be runnable on this device. Isn't that fascinating? Well. Yes. The plot thickens.
So they might have special guests on stage with them to announce this product, including the SteamOS and Steam Deck co-designer Pierre Lou Griff. I don't know how to pronounce this. Griffon. Pierre Lou Griffon.
Yes.
Anyway.
Go with that.
We mentioned probably 6 weeks or so ago, a month ago, that SteamOS is probably going to be popping up on different handhelds, and this is sort of the first indication that that rumor actually seems to be true. It might be coming true. Look for this, probably at a CES near you. Just go to your local CES.
What if CES becomes all about SteamOS and SteamOS devices? It's just a throwback to like 15 years ago or whenever that was.
What did they call their living room? Their the Steam. Oh, what was it called? The living room device that they made. Steam something, or what it was.
Yeah, it was specific for the big picture. What was that thing called?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was a big picture game. Steam Machine. It was just like Steam Machine.
Yes.
Or something
Was it
like
a Steam Machine?
that. Yeah.
Not a Stanley Steamer. Different.
No. Very different from Stanley Steamer.
I think
Although
Steam Machine was
today's
just a generic term, wasn't
Stanley
it?
Steamer might actually play video games. No.
It's AI enhanced. I know that.
Of course it is. It vacuums the floor. It sucks on its own.
It's AI enhanced. It has negative latency. It plays your game for you on easy mode with predictive input technology, and
Orders new HEPA filters without you knowing.
auto steer for those racing games, so you feel like you're better than you are, and things like that.
Hey, speaking of the
Automatically
Lenovo,
analyzes cat hairball stains on a carpet,
it tells you what it ate
determines
last.
the appropriate way to remove them.
So, speaking of the Lenovo Legion Go S, there's potentially a new chip with it on board.
Yeah, Ryzen Z2 Go APU.
Exclusively on board the Lenovo, I guess.
So this semi-custom design would be 4 Zen 3 Plus cores, so possibly like die shrink Zen 3, 12 CUs of RDNA 2, and LPDDR5X 6400. Decent memory bandwidth, not all that compelling, but hey, it's a handheld. What do you want?
Yeah, it's small.
And hopefully very power efficient.
I think that was the idea, is to keep you gaming on the go for some period of time. But it's sort of interesting that this is the first and exclusive outlet for the Z2 Go APU from Lenovo.
I'm just disappointed there's no red nubbin for one of the buttons.
I saw a rumor somewhere that upcoming Lenovo laptops were, at least one of them was ditching the red nub.
That's
It's just disturbing.
heresy.
It is. And I hope it's not true. We'll have to wait for CES. Now, we would be remiss if we did not bring up the winter sale going on right now. Is this still going on right now on Steam?
Yep.
Well, I mean, this
Or is it a
is
specific
everything.
game you want us to look at here?
the specific game that I thought was, I thought this was sort of ridiculous. Now, the winter sale, let's just talk about that briefly if you'd like. But
I thought you were talking about the winter sale. This is a dating game. Brett. Okay.
This is hysterical.
It's called
is a
Date
dating game.
Everything.
It's date everything.
Everything.
Now, can you date inanimate objects, or do you?
Yes.
Is it like date any
Everything.
person? Okay, so you can,
Everything.
Okay.
So save the date, February 14th, 2025.
oh, that's Valentine's Day, okay.
Isn't it though? Don't
Yep.
forget that you can as we had referenced earlier, you can actually date your Stanley Steamer vacuum cleaner.
No, problem.
You can date your coffee pot.
You can't date.
this
There's only
is-
100 dateable characters. That doesn't sound like anything.
You can date your smoke alarm.
Can you date
Yeah.
your Hitachi magic wand?
Yes, I believe that you can.
I don't
DLC.
know if it's in the
Sorry,
game
you're
or
going to
not.
pay extra.
This is surprisingly this should surprise no one. Gaming has gone into the date inanimate objects direction.
What you're saying is that gaming has gone into the toilet. So this
Yeah.
is where we
I
are in
Yeah, you can date that
2025.
too.
Dating
But please-
your toaster.
So we're in the area past the waifu pillow.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that at least is somewhat
Now,
anatomically.
see, at this point
annotated.
in human history, humping a pillow is wholesome because now you can F a
It
toaster.
gets worse.
We've gone to the
Yes.
toaster, the coffee pot, the Stanley steamer. Your the couch.
Please unplug the toaster before use.
No,
Your
that
fan.
creates that sense of danger. That's so exciting.
Oh gosh. So yeah,
And
if you
the
want to be slightly
craziness-
disturbed, go take a look at this.
Slightly.
The craziness of the world and like this, I recently had to replace some silicone feet on a laptop. Couldn't find them anywhere, found some on AliExpress and ordered some replacements for it. And apparently searching for silicone feet on AliExpress has
Oh my.
Uh-oh.
email is now full of it, just daily AliExpress sex toys to go with what I purchased, which was laptop feet.
Are you sure that's all you bought?
That is
Well, if I
all I
get
bought.
that with the silicone feet, I'll save on shipping. So,
Let's see if I could just throw that
but
in.
an
That
entire
will definitely
box of silicone
satisfy
dildos
my
at the same
foot
time.
fetish. And the foot fetish thing is really exciting.
Do they make silicone like human feet?
Oh, I guarantee you they do.
Suddenly, I
They make them
regret
small
telling
enough to
this
use on a
story.
laptop, though.
Let us move to picks of the week. Josh, please get us started. Are you going to talk about storage or memory? Which one?
No, neither of those things. Can you believe it?
No.
This is unheard of. Were you aware that a company has now entered the PSU market with what appears to be an exceptionally solid product with a 10-year warranty? It's ASRock.
Wow.
Apparently, this has tested very well, and it uses full, high-quality Japanese capacitors. It's ATX 3.1 and PCIe 5.1 compliant, 80 plus gold certified, and I think there's a different certification that they just got onto as well that's pretty high-end. It looks well built. It's not for 1,000 watts. See, look, it's got the 12-volt 2x6.
Oh,
Brand spanking new.
Yep.
And it's like $149 and another $20 off. If
Yeah,
you
the
buy
price
it
is
now.
right. This looks a lot like a Cooler Master unit to me. Who knows? I wonder
code
who's
channel.
actually
Well,
making this.
It's what, HEC or something like that?
Oh, okay.
I can't
Yep.
remember
Okay.
which.
Now, yeah, the fact that it's 80 plus gold, I mean, 80 plus gold, 1,000 watts, this seems like about the right price. 135 after rebate.
And don't forget your OS, apparently, because it's Windows compatible.
Okay.
Oh, good. Yep.
Yeah, Cybernetics
Oh,
Platinum.
yeah.
And
Cybernetics
a
Sneaky
certified-
running
Platinum.
Linux. Don't run Linux behind this power supply. Won't work.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I'm probably going to end up getting one of these when I refresh the test bed sometime this next year. Because I
YouTube
need
chat
that
Or
sweet.
this year, in fact.
FSP, by the way, but
Yeah,
potentially
someone
built
in
by
the chat,
FSP.
Gavin,
Oh, FSP. Okay.
and
Well, there's only a couple of people that it would be from.
yeah, multiple
There
people.
are like 3 or 4
Yeah.
power supply manufacturers. So
Yeah.
And if it's not one of those, don't buy it. Like, it's going to be a bad
Because if
time.
it's not one of those, it's not a power supply.
all right,
It's
I used to
something
say the
else.
same thing about like Gold Star and Lucky Gold Star, but now
LG's pretty dang good. Yeah.
Yep.
pretty darn
Yes.
Yeah. FSP. Cool.
All
So
right,
yeah, I stumbled across that. I asked some people on the Twitters, aka X. I haven't dug into power supplies in ages. What have you heard that's good? And that was one that came up. It was bizarre. ASRock.
Jeremy, your pick this week.
Guess what Canada has that you probably don't?
snow.
7950X3Ds.
Oh,
They're currently in stock and currently on sale. So for $130 off, $850, there are still a few of them left at Memory Express. If you were hoping to do an upgrade and couldn't find one because they were rare as hen's teeth for a very long time, and I'm sure that once this stock runs out, it will be rare again. But for now, you can actually grab one.
I feel like the 7800 X3D was really the
It's out of stock.
more rare. Oh, it's still out of stock. Okay.
Yeah, no, you still can't get that.
Who wants to deal with the provisioning driver and the disabling of the CCD and all of that? But if you do, if you're somebody who likes running extra processes to have your CPU core count during gaming sessions for increased performance, then the 7950X3D might be the processor for you.
It adds a little more fun to your system.
It does. It adds the complexity that really is the foundation of this hobby. Brett, what is your pick?
Like most people hankering for a little bit of the 3D extremism in their life and to get away from the 2D representation on their monitors, I went and asked for a 3D printer for Christmas, and I actually got one. I got this one. This is a Bamboo P1S 3D printer. It's currently on sale, $100 off. And I printed a few things with it, and it is a lot of fun. If you're not into 3D printing yet, and you have the wherewithal, I recommend it. You can actually, it's one of the ones that obviously has an enclosure, so you can print with filaments that give off a little bit more gas because it needs to be filtered. So like ABS and stuff like that, I believe. I'm still very much new at it, but it has been a lot of fun and very easy to get going. And that's one of the reasons why I picked this one. Or asked for it.
That company makes some even more affordable ones that are just dead simple to use. My friend's daughter got one for Christmas, and my son and her were printing all sorts of things just off of an iPad the other day. And that's just a simple 2-color that has like the potential of being up to a 4-color. This one has a 16-color, it looks like.
You can get the multiple units and then a combiner if you really wanted to. It has different like four filament holders, and then you have a combiner that can all run into the same nozzle, and it knows, and you program it to which color that you want. And if you're using that company's reel holder or the spool holders, it actually knows what color it is.
Yeah, they have some really affordable ones. Like here's one.
Yeah, the A1.
Like the A1 you can get for like $199 to $339. I think it depends on whether or not it has the ability to do. Well, this one's up to 4 colors, I think.
Yeah, with that holder, with that adapter. I'm not sure what they call that in the A1.
They look like they all can.
But these things, it blows me away, the stuff that you can make, because they're using these patterns that create articulated toys. They made a squid that already had all the articulation for the tentacles on the little plastic toy right off the printer. It's like,
it's pretty cool.
How is this possible?
Looks like it's going to be, like I actually mentioned before I put it on my quote-unquote Christmas list, I said, like, I need another crack-like hobby. Can I have a 3D printer? And so, yeah, now I have another outlet that is, and it is just, as detail-oriented as any other hobby, like technology-based, or stuff like cars or engines or electronics or computers or software. It's just another outlet for that sort of creative energy that you can totally get lost in. The nuances.
It's going to take you a long time to print that car, though.
One piece at a time. I did see somebody who was printing fenders, widened fenders for their vehicle, and they had stitched them together component by component, and as it had come off the platen. It's actually one of the reasons why I had to pick this one, because it has a 256 millimeter cube platen, or plate, I guess it's called.
I wonder if you could 3D print oil pan drain plugs. You know how a lot of modern cars have plastic lower oil pans and plastic drain plugs? 3D print those things. They're like $7 each at the auto parts store, and you're supposed to replace them with every oil change. Like, for just $8 or $9 worth of filament, I could do it myself and break my warranty at the same time.
Yes. See, now you're getting into it. That's exactly how this.
That's why I have never gone down that road. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what I will become and what my life will become when I go down that.
Well, road. I got asked. It was like, well, name something you wouldn't really do. And I'm like, well, 3D printing has sort of been out there. I might like one of those. Oh,
Seems like
yeah.
you've been avoiding like the plague. Well, 3D printing
Yeah.
could ruin my life.
That was kind of my thought process, and now
You're
I
going to
can.
start seeing
I'm
there's so many
happy.
things. There's no limit, Brett. You're going to start 3D printing
isn't.
everything in your life.
I know.
You're going to start making
you start
holders
to
for
see,
things.
like opportunities, holders where you don't need them.
Yeah.
You know,
Like coasters that are specifically tailored to each cup and glass that you own.
yeah. Oh, do we need monograms for this? Let me print this.
Yeah. Where's the PCPer coaster, Brett?
I've already gotten the phrase of when you said, because I literally said, "Hey, I'll print that," and it was like a something off of Board Games Geek to extend the rules for Alien: Fate of the Nostromo. So I was printing.
Come on,
stuff,
it's a great Patreon level.
I said I was going to go print Brett or 3D print shit. So I said I was going to go print something, and somebody said, "Are you going to go 3D print that?" I'm like, "What? No, I can still use a laser printer."
I'm glad you said laser printer because ink printers are just that's nightmare fuel. Kent, I believe you have a pick for us this week.
Speaking of hobbies that suck up too much time and money, cars. You know, if you want to work on your own car, because mechanics are expensive, it's going to cost you some money too. And one of the things you probably want at some point is a lift. And like a lot of people, I always thought a lift for my garage was going to be just out of price range, not achievable. But I've discovered that there are now some lifts that make it usable that are reasonably affordable. This one is the Albert. It will support up to 5,000 pounds. It's portable. You don't have to have shop air or shop hydraulics. Comes with everything you need except hydraulic fluid to fill its control box. And you can lift up to SUVs that, like I say, up to 5,000 pounds in gross weight. So you can do some work on your own cars. And this one is very reasonably priced. It's $13.99, but there is currently a $140 off coupon on it. I actually got one of these. I ordered mine when there was a $200 off coupon on it. So they seem to be, fluctuating the discount a little bit. But, if that's something you're interested in, I thought this was a really good buy and a much better value than some of the others in the same type of product.
I have one of the other type of products. I have a quick jack, and it's a very, very similar concept. Different shape, different hydraulic. I have the 12-volt version, so I can run it off. I can take it to the field. I could go someplace with it. But you wouldn't think, like, I don't know how high that goes, but mine go like 21 inches or something, like off the ground. But to have all four wheels off the ground and like that freedom of movement underneath is just so useful. You wouldn't think about it. That was like, oh, that's not really very high. No, it's game changing. It's absolutely game changing for working on parts of the car. Definitely would recommend it if this is part of your hobbies or part of your crack like obsessions.
When I saw Alan's garage situation, I was just like, I'll never get to this level because he had like a professional jack and like a lift, like he could lift his car up and he had like a rack for his tires along like the ceiling. Like, wow, this is better than most shops. Print. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. We should have Brett 3D prints, sign up here.
We should have a segment of our show. I should pre-tape a few a week. I'll get a hold of Alan and be like, can we have a segment of our show called Alan Does It Better? And it's just like a little human interest segment. Like, you're into cars, but are you into cars like this? Like doing those.
You're not saying we should do a Jim Will Fix It except with Alan, because that would be bad.
Are you interested in starting your own Plex server? Well, Alan does it better. Let's look at his 4 petabyte system in his house.
Exactly.
Yeah, the bad thing about this is like, well, we're getting these portable lifts, and there's a lot of stuff that's just sitting in the garage that we don't use. So let's get rid of that, and let's change the storage in the garage. Let's get some metal pegboard for the tools. you know what? Since we're going to have everything out, let's just clean the floor and put a garage epoxy on the floor.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then
It all
why don't we just
starts-
document all of this and start a YouTube channel while we're at it?
Yeah.
Let's just
Starts
live
so
stream some of
simply.
this stuff. I have a pick this week. I've been watching this show with my wife over the holiday break, and it's been a lot of fun. You may be familiar with it. It was only on for one season
What?
in 1993 into 1994, and it starred Bruce Campbell of Evil Dead fame. It is Briscoe County Jr. And
Didn't I do
Very-
that
just-
like 3 years ago?
Oh, easily.
maybe you did.
Maybe a little longer.
It bears repeating because it's very, very
It's
entertaining.
great.
It's like a sci-fi western, if you can put that together.
But not Cowboys versus Aliens, thankfully.
It's not fully. I haven't gotten through the whole series yet. We've watched the first 3.5 discs of this 8-disc complete series, which I bought on Amazon when it was even cheaper than this. But you can get it right now for $25.89 on DVD. No
The
Blu-ray
final
available.
episode of Briscoe County Jr. has one of the funniest scenes in the history of television
Okay,
in it.
all right. No spoilers.
Exactly.
I watched a few random episodes of this with my dad when it was on TV when I was 11 years old. I don't remember very much of it at all. So it's fun to go through and watch it all again, like it's new.
And it's Bruce
You know,
Campbell.
nobody actually saw the movie Cowboys and Aliens, by the way. No one.
No one.
Well,
I saw
there's-
it.
okay, there's 25 people saw it. I saw it.
Nice.
Scared the crap out of my kids at one point. He was young and started crying, and my wife yelled at me.
Oh,
So there you have it.
did you have to turn it off, or did you have to ask your wife to leave the room?
Well, I had to pause, and we removed one child and the wife, and then I resumed with the other child. So
Hey, removing a child and
That
a wife
movie been
can
out
make your
that
life a lot
long?
simpler.
Or was your
Yeah.
kid like 18 crying?
Hey,
No, that would have been because of how bad it
I'll
was.
tell him that you said that. So
I'm just wondering. It just doesn't seem like it's been that
he
long
was like
ago. but-
7 years old, 8 years
Oh
old.
my God. I can't believe that movie was that long ago.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Where did the
Yeah.
time go?
we're
what
all
happened
getting
in the
very
last 8
old,
years?
Kent. That's the problem.
Yes.
Yet another year is gone. Now it's 2025. In just 2 years, it'll be the 50th anniversary of the original theatrical release of Star Wars. Just think of all the possibilities. I hope it's re-released theatrically in whatever crazy version now exists. And we'll get even more Star Wars Lego.
It'll be some
there'll
sort of
be
immersive thing, with AI
there'll be
assisted.
even more Fortnite Star Wars skins than ever before. The possibilities are almost endless.
It is really sad that the 25th anniversary edition of Star Wars. I mean, and now we're it just,
It was
like you said,
a quarter
time.
of a century ago.
Because it
quarter
seemed
of a
like it was forever. Yeah, when I saw it at 6 years old, and then I was 31. It's like it was so long ago, and now I'm 52, and I'm looking back.
Yeah.
That was
That
just
wasn't
yesterday.
long ago. The
I
25th,
actually
the
have-
Phantom Screamer.
I think I saw it in a
here,
drive-in, actually.
a 25th anniversary of Star Trek poster on the wall right
Oh,
over
my.
here. I can't take it off, unfortunately, because it's like two-sided tape to the closet door. But and people come in and are like, "Is that real?" Yeah, it's real.
The Star Trek 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
It's ancient. This is an old DOS game, for crying out loud.
Was what,
a long time ago.
1992? 93?
91.
91. First
Yeah, because
episode
the
aired in
25th anniversary
66.
when Star Trek 6 was released, and they, had the teaser trailer of the projecting the old series on different parts of the Enterprise as it's going ahead, and it said, anyway. Yeah.
Yes. And on that uplifting note, we're going to say goodbye for the week. Anyway, we'll be back with another episode of the PC Perspective Podcast next week when we have so much to talk about from CES. I'm sure we'll have all the details, or at least some some surface level details about what's coming from NVIDIA and more AI than you can shake a NIC Giga router at.
Right. I was going to say shake Jeremy at, but sure.
Yes. There's so much excitement.
I shake when I hear AI now.
I've noticed.
They don't make routers, do they? It's switches.
Yes, those are switches.
Yeah. But hey, one good piece of news. One good piece of news, we can throw in here at the end is that they're expecting memory prices to fall even more.
Yep.
DDR5 is going to get incredibly cheap, and hallelujah.
At least one component is now.
Yeah.
Well,
SSDs are dirt cheap too. Yeah. So.
Yes.
And power supplies. Power supplies are getting back down. And
have
we mentioned OLED screens? OLED screens are now getting inexpensive.